So sticking with crime for a bit, right? Let's talk about Griselda, right?
Sure.
Which is a miniseries, coming out of Netflix of all people, right?
Right.
I'll do the synopsis for this one, right?
Right. So
So
Lego.
yes. Right. Hey yo.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, we have to throw the obvious, West Side Gun ad-libs, right? Which never get old, right?
Oh yeah.
Again, I just find it so funny. I talked about it. I made a Facebook post about it, right? So on the same day that this show dropped, right, this is January the 25th. Benny the Butcher
You know.
drops his Def Jam debut.
Yeah.
Everybody can't go. So I actually like listened to that album like about 3-4 times. Then I jump into
And
Griselda, right?
that's the track
Just for
with
the
that's the
sake
track
of
with Snoop. They made a video for, right?
yes, dude.
Yeah. That
Hit
song.
boy on
Yeah,
that
that song
beat,
relevant.
huh?
Yeah,
Hit
that
boy
song
on that
relevant.
beat. That's all I have to
Yeah.
say. Hit boy
Yeah, for real.
went nuts.
Yeah, that song.
That's
very
how
bad.
it start off with that. Like I love that. But anyway, right? So as you can tell, yes, we know a thing or two about Griselda records, right? We know about the Buffalo Boys, we know about Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, West Side Gun, right? But we always hear Griselda by Fashion
The name.
Rebels, right? We always hear
Right.
the name, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, like, we kind of marginally familiar with who Griselda is, right?
Right.
I think for me, I just went up on Wikipedia a day and no, I think it was on Genius, right? Where they was explaining what that watermark that you hear, that Griselda watermark is. And then they say,
Right.
oh, it's actually based off of Griselda Blanco, a real life drug
Right.
lord who is a woman. It's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, okay. So that was really all I knew about her. It's just, oh, she's so dread that these rappers decide to call it
Well, yeah,
label.
it's a
off of her.
typical,
Like, all right.
yeah, typical rap shit. I mean, it's the same reason why a lot of rappers in my generation and our generation would just not shut the fuck up about Scarface. Same
Oh
reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
It's a good thing you bring up Scarface, boy, because if it's one show,
referencing Escobar all the time. Same bullshit.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, Pablo Escobar. Yeah,
Right.
I would say if you are a Scarface fan, you will admire this show. You really appreciate this show for what it does, right? So what it's about, right? So it centers on the life and career of Griselda Blanco, who is played by Miguel Sofia Vergara, and she's actually the reason why I wanted to see this, because like, hey, you that fine ass chick from Modern Family. Don't mind, I never used to watch the show, but the reason why I would have watched the show, honestly, and just speaking as a hardback man, is because she fine AF, right? But yeah, she got to play this grimy ass like drug lord, like, wow, okay. But the setup is pretty interesting, where we learn that she is actually the wife of a Colombian drug lord, right? And because he was just on shit a day, like he was on real shit. Yeah, she just like shoot the man and just run off, like grab her 3 sons, and flees to to Miami, right? So she shacks up, sorry, with a friend of hers, and it just so happens that she works in the travel agency. So eventually she kind of hooks you up with some plane tickets and shit. So that was really clever, and in the process of her leaving Colombia, yeah, she ran off with a few keys. She actually smuggled it onto the plane and all that kind of stuff, and she wants to sell it off. So she finds this local drug dealer, and he just kind of watches it like, you know what, like, I don't want this because I already have a supplier trend. And they set this up very early. It's like, oh, you're a woman, so yeah, fuck you. Like, why should we take you any seriously? You're a woman. You are the mall of a drug dealer. Why should anybody care about you, right? And yeah, she just pretty much just Cassie's side, like nobody should take you seriously. So she just comes up with a plan. She calls some of her friends. And when I say friends, is that they also reveal like early on in her life, yeah, she was a prostitute, right? So she calls some of she prostitute friends, some real, fine ass, Latina chicks come through, and they help like smuggle the product around in Miami, right? So she comes up with a plan. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna tackle the entitled, the rich white people, right? And yeah, they're gonna get attention to drawn to my product, right? But she also hooks up with the accountant who worked with her husband, yeah, to help smuggle in more coke as well too. So the coke is being smuggled by him and these women into Miami as well, right? And yeah, through some years of entrepreneurship, yeah, she become the HBIC, right? When it comes to the whole drug thing, right? Of course, there's a lot of like rivals who just looking down at she because she's a woman and look at what you're doing and you're bringing down we businesses, blah 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 blah, right? but she could hire muscle. And there's one particular guy who used to work with her husband by the name of Dario, an enforcer of his, right? Who shows up and in a very, very, very tense, he was about to kind of end things, but he kind of changed his mind. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything. And yeah, he becomes the right hand man of Griselda, right? And you see this period now from the late 70s into I think the mid 80s. Yeah, her empire grows. She becomes stronger now. She hires more muscle, more Colombian gunmen basically to kind of control shit and whatnot. And you just as you would expect from shows like this, yeah, you see how that empire falls by. And when I see it introducing the story, slight spoiler, when I see it, I was like, all right, of course, that's how it always ends, right? Crack. As soon as crack come into the scene, it's like, yeah, everything just fall apart right there. Cause yeah, she was doing good with the coconut. She's doing good, don't get high off your own supply, sorry. But when that crack come in, boy, it's like, whoo, everything just went downhill from there, Jen. And that's the best way I could sum up this show. So, Ricardo, what were your thoughts on Griselda by Fashion Rebels?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. I wish this was better. I'd liked it. I didn't love it, and I'd say, yeah, you know, Sofia Vergara didn't hold it for me. To be honest, she good. She's fine. But you know what she feel like? It felt like J-Lo in that movie with Ting, where she was a crime person for a little while. Remember that? And people wanted her to get nominated. It felt like that. Um,
What
it's
was it Hustlers or
yeah,
I
something like
forget
that.
the name of
It,
the
it,
show
it it
though.
felt like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like apologies if I come across like a kind of sexist kind of thing. But the idea is that the problem is that the real person not don't look like this at all. So she way too attractive for it to sell now. I mean that's the idea, but it didn't work for me in this context because she too attractive. That's the problem. But in this, it just didn't come together. And again, I'll admit, if Narcos didn't exist, I would have loved this a little more. We see it before, and they didn't tell the story that interesting or pull it together. But it's fine. Like it's fine, in terms of like, okay, coke party and orgy this and okay, she rises to the top and so on so. And I'm familiar with the real story, but I felt it. Yeah, it's one thing with actors, and this is something that I come across as kind of thing to me. Actors had to make the effort to kind of ugly up themselves a little bit, and because she don't look that much like the real Griselda, I felt they could have make that effort, or at least show her aging or having time pass a little better. That kind of stuff. No. But does she look like a young Griselda? You look it up. Tell me. It's up to you if you think so. If you think so, then fine. But I don't think she pulled that off, and then because you had to do that part, it was not sell for me. But this is fine. It just feels like really standard stuff. But I felt like they could have do something more with it. But it's fine as it is. I didn't super love this to be honest. But it's good stuff. It's standard stuff. Let me just put it like that, right? It's like okay, you get the time period and the 80s and whatnot and the nightclub. And it have a couple of cool moments. Like, when she walk in the nightclub at the beginning and she all bloodied and fucked up and like, what's going on here? Not sure if that actually happened. I'll admit I didn't do research to know how much of this is real, how much of this is big sell. But I don't know. This didn't hit for me, to be honest. And I'm surprised it didn't. I thought it would have, but it didn't. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as Sophia looking the part though, yeah, like I actually saw like a thumbnail, like a YouTube thumbnail of like the well, it's a mugshot basically. It's like woof, like you
No,
don't
the,
look
the
like her at
mugshot
all, right?
the mugshot
But
is
it's so
late. The
funny.
mugshot is late stuff. Like that's the later stuff. Like she
Oh,
already
late
like
stuff.
eight.
Okay,
But
okay.
if you look at the younger pictures, she still don't look the part. Like I was always trying to look for if she was looking like that at that age
Oh,
when she
okay,
started
okay.
writing up.
I understand.
I just still don't look the part. Like there's no problem now. It's like look if it's thing and is that problem now? Is again like with J-Lo and Hustlers. When they watch a real person versus that, it's not even close. And I don't know. I don't know if this look. It might come across like a kind of sexist bias in that sense. But I don't know. With women, it's be kind of more egregious in that sense. When you have a person playing the part, I don't know. But again, I just complain about Coleman Domingo and but by Rustin. To me, I don't know. When you don't look the part, it's harder to like do something real interesting with it. And because they don't do anything interesting with it, that has come across more distracting. In my humble opinion. That's how I feel about it. And that's how it felt like that. When you look at the young early pictures of Griselda, the young Griselda, the actress, the real person, they don't look like the person. So it's like the way you're going to do it. And it just feel like, well, it just look like just sound like a popular Hispanic actress. I think Sofia Vergara is Colombian herself. Like, all right, she kind of like close to the story. That's why she get the role. Like they could have get somebody else to this. I'm not sure. That's how I feel about it. But it is
All right.
yeah, go ahead.
In her defense, right? So I'm not speaking. Like I'm gonna defend you, Sophia, because I love you so much, whatever. Uh, I actually saw an interview after watching Griselda, right? And she was saying that this was a passion project of hers, right? Her being Colombian, she always heard about
Right,
Griselda. It's like,
right.
oh my God,
Yeah.
a female drug boss, right?
Right.
And I was actually surprised that she legit to still talk the same way how she talks in Modern Family. I always
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
like that was like
that's
just
how she
something
talk.
that she does. Like no, she
No,
literally
it's straight
talks
up. It's
that
straight
kind
up
of
Fran
boisterous kind of way,
Drescher.
right?
No, it's straight up Fran
No,
Drescher.
that's the thing now about it. That's so
right.
attractive. Her voice is like that.
Yeah.
I know, right? But yeah. And she was saying about how she was doing 3 hours of makeup and this and that and that.
And I
But
felt,
like
I,
you could
I
still
felt if they
see
made the effort.
Sophia's feel like.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
She's still looking too attractive. Is the Will Smith problem? They can't ugly up themselves for some reason.
But I
Right.
didn't. No, but here's the thing.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. So it's kind of like she wants to do half. Like she wants to sell that it is
Yeah.
Sophia herself and all her loveliness on screen, but she also wants to make herself look grim, like grimy, like scowling and look
But
at
she
that.
didn't. Yeah,
Well, you
but
didn't
she
find
didn't.
so? Okay.
She didn't. I don't think she. No, I could have moments, like she'd have scenes, but she at no point you already look like life where she done kind of thing. Like because listen, that drug game had to be real stressful, right? And that's the thing, she does always looking over she back. Shit could go sideways at any time, kind of thing. And at no point I was getting that from this. Like that's my main complaint. Because and again, if they did something really interesting in the story, that I could have let slide. But because they're not doing anything that interesting in the story, it's like a typical narrative stuff. Like, all right, well, what are you gonna do with it now? I don't know. That's just me. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, that's a weird trade-off with something like this, right? Because
You're right.
unless you're some kind of like true crime nerd or you just know a lot about like gangsters and crime and all that kind of stuff, like I just know the name, but I can't tell you a lick about her history and when she got arrested, blah blah blah, right? So I went to this fairly blind, right? So I trust that even though some of the stuff feel kind of cliche and kind of, I don't want to say fantastical, but kind of unconventional, kind of just out there, right? I trust that the majority of the events there, it's not this mere yes, embellishment is there, right? You could tell, but I'm trusting that the narrative itself is legit how things played out, right? So I wouldn't know, right? But yeah, you see how you say how you didn't feel like she looked the part or whatnot. I mean I could understand, but I felt personally that Sophia really rose to the occasion. She really put a lot of effort into her role. You know what I mean? And one thing that this show does so well, right? I know this could be a turn off for some people, but I applaud the bravery of the show to do this. They had mostly like Spanish language dialogue in this though.
All
I
is
would
fine.
say like
I don't
about
have a problem
two-thirds
with
of
that.
the entire series
good.
is that though. Like what?
Yeah,
You
good.
know?
It should be that.
In other
Yeah.
words, making it as authentic as possible, right? Even though characters are mostly in Miami, that don't mean that we have to do the Scarface thing and have everybody just talk with accents, right? But people was talking in Spanish. I was like, all right, I like this. This is great. I like this, right? I thought that was a really smart call. I wouldn't lie though, it felt like a short time reading subs, but I was like, because I didn't know this going in. I didn't know I had to read a lot
No, but
of subtitles, right?
what show?
I was
What
like,
show?
all right, if that's the show, okay, fine.
No, some show come out that it was entirely in Spanish. I think I forget what it was. Something that came out. I forget it was. But yeah, this I don't have a problem with that because that makes sense. Almost everybody speaking Spanish. They should be speaking Spanish. That's fine.
Yeah. Also, just the way how the story flows and stuff, works, right?
Yeah.
But again, there's a trade-off, right? So because a majority of us guys, right, or I should say people in general, right, have seen Scarface, right? Yes, which I would say the second half of this show leans towards, right, because it's
Right.
the 80s era, disco is over, so we're going into, a different vibe now, right? So, it's that transition from coke to crack, right? So it's that kind of
Right.
vibe, right? Yeah, you see that here in the show here too, right? But I was really digging the late 70s stuff where they are in the disco era. Yeah, I mean, drugs was fluid all over the place, right? There's
Right.
look, like where she actually meets this drug dealer guy is in a friggin' nightclub, right? It might as well have been Studio 54, right? But that's
Right.
not in Miami, right? But whatever. Yeah, so I was digging all that, right? But what I would say though is that, yeah, I mean, if you have seen, crime films about drugs, set in the early 80s
Yeah, it too
or
cliched.
late
It's too
70s.
cliched. It's Miami
yes,
vibes.
it's stuff that you've seen before,
See
right?
before, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that. And yes, I don't want to say it borrows from Scarface, but you could tell, like, I don't want to say Scarface borrowed from the story of Griselda. I don't think that's how it
No, I
played
don't
out
think
at
so.
all.
Like, listen, it is a
But that's
very,
so,
it's a very common story. Like these stories. So when Scarface was
that's
written,
right. Come on. Yes.
when Scarface was written, they was just pulling from shit. They read on the headlines. They no real narratives by that point, and they just put out a very grander version of that. That's it. Um, so when she effectively she lived the life. And again, I wish they did if they was doing something a different perspective or something really interesting with it. Like you see how what Narcos do with it. I like how they just bounce around, a holistic, more systemic approach to the storytelling. This is just her. And so I was thinking, all right, at least you're gonna put on some makeup, really really look like you're looking older and different. But is it Will Smith problem? Sorry, you're not looking any different or not making an effort to sell it. Like remember when Will Smith did the movie where he was the doctor with the football thing.
Or
Tell
concussion.
the truth.
God. Yeah.
Concussion, right.
I never watch that shit.
when you watch a real person, it's like it's a little fucking ridiculous. Like you're fucking serious, Will Smith. You make no effort whatsoever. That
Yeah.
was
All he
a
does
little
do. All he does do is just do an African's accent or something.
yeah, that he barely do well. Like it's even that.
You know?
But still,
Yeah.
but you see, it's not as bad as that, but similar problem.
I understand, right? So yeah.
Again, you gotta be attractive. Again, you gotta be attractive, but not for this. You're an actor. Like you have enough actors who's ugly up themselves. Leo is ugly up himself.
Dude,
what do you call
Charlize
them?
Charlize Theron, ugly up
Charlize Theron,
herself.
right. Exactly.
Charlize
Charlize
Theron,
look totally different.
Yeah,
for
for Monster.
really no, but I find Charlize Theron look totally different. Like I wish she make an effort to do on that level now. Whatever.
Right.
As I said,
I understand.
Right.
Well, okay. So, all right. I don't want to spend the rest of this review like defending the show like this, right? But I guess it's all right. So it's all right. So what the show is really trying to do is sell on the whole thing that a woman can't be a drug lord. We can't do this. And you even see like the cops and a bunch of men doubted it, but it had this one police officer, a female, and she is Hispanic as well. Yeah, who like kind of get obsessed over trying to bring she down, and it's all that kind of stuff there. So the gender politics, I guess, is the one thing that makes the show different, right?
Yeah.
And how they play it off, I thought was very well thought out. That's the best way I could sum it up, right? Nothing new, it's nothing like mind blowing, but it's like, all right, you really have to buy into the fact that people back in the late 70s could not believe that a woman could like
that was
drug.
No, that was his cell.
business,
No, that was his cell.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Wow.
what catch everybody off guard with Turner. Like it's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
it's a woman with doing all of this shit. Okay, cool. Like I get that.
Like to us who live in the modern age, that's a huge stress. Like all of that brazen dread.
No,
you know
it's
what I mean?
not different
But
from,
like no, like
it's no different from
like
what we call
men
him,
didn't believe that,
No, what you call him the American Hustler, not American Hustler, Denzel Washington movie,
American Gangster.
American Gangster.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing.
they couldn't believe a black man could do that. You're right.
Right, but in that way, it's just you'll always have these little weird exception people who show up ever so often, and it just catch everybody off guard because they didn't know where to look. Let us be clear about something. American police, in terms of like especially in the detective level, kind of fucking terrible. Like a lot of it was just total oversights, and they just didn't take little simple shit into account, and that's why these criminals or whoever just get away for so goddamn long. There's a lot of that. It's like they just couldn't just a simple like assumption, and they catch them off guard. Now. That's it. Like it's
yeah, like oh gosh, like this, like really, folks, a woman is doing this, and they just walk away.
Right.
Come
it's
on.
that.
Yeah.
They do that fine enough, in my humble opinion. Like again, the rest of the story is really standard stuff. So it's like, all right, well.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, right? But again, for me, I was just trusting that the events that I was seeing, not all of them, the events that I was seeing, did play out the way they did, like when it comes to kills or whatnot, right? Speaking of kills, though, this show is pretty violent, right? Not mind blowing. I mean, like I'm sorry, you don't watch a show about the subject matter and not expect to see drive-bys, not expect to see shootings take place during drug deals. Like there's one that happened in the first episode that kind of catch me off guard because of how sudden it happened. But it's like, this is the world that I've tuned into. This is what I came to expect, right? And you really see how it affects Griselda in the long run, right? Like I said before, when crack come into the scene, I didn't expect that. I thought it was just gonna be all coke stuff, right? When crack came into the scene, I was like, all right, yeah, that's it. And then you see she uses like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, I think what again the problem with this is that it's one of these things that they didn't do enough different, and because other people do it way better. Again, this is post Narcos, this is post Snowfall. Like Snowfall just ended, and Snowfall is fucking hard. This post Breaking Bad, post and so on and so forth, right? And I felt really my main complaint is that either you're gonna already like get some kind of working authenticity like what Maestro did, and that story, because Maestro is not like some mind blowing amazing musical biopic, but because what Bradley Cooper decided to do with it, I think he does enough different, and especially him as a second time filmmaker, I appreciate what they do there with that. With this, you had to do something different and change it up enough for me to care. That's it. And they didn't do enough for me to care. But anyway, it's nice about it and then written, yeah.
But for what it is, I thought it was fine. It was decent for what it is. Sophia really holds it though. I really saw the effort that she put into it, and not just with the dialogue, of course, but just with the demeanor, just the way how she acts or whatnot, right? There's a few moments where, she does the Tony Montana thing, and you see the envy and the anger build up. There's a moment where she gets high and she takes it out on a bunch of people. That moment like catch me by surprise too. Again, nothing new, but it's crack, boy. When I see that, I was like, all right, yeah, she gotta do some fucked up shit, and she does that. Dario, I thought that he's a nice he adds a nice dynamic to the film as well, to where he is this hardened guy who you tell him to go and shoot a man, he'll shoot a man, right? But at the same time, he just watching Griselda like, like, surprise, surprise, they'd fall in love. Is like, like, you should really take it easy, you should leave with your kids and whatnot, right? I should mention this, right, just quickly. I'm not gonna say the name of the child, right? But dog, but Griselda, mom, right? When you decide to call your child that, right? You're just looking for police to come to arrest you, right?
Right.
Sorry, you don't name your child that, and not
Again,
expect the police to look at you and be
I don't
like, all
expect
right,
them.
you into shit, I gotta arrest you.
No, as I say, if you're leaning into, okay. So the thing is, I probably might have complained if they lean too much into this, but they could have got into the psychology of the feminine toxicity aspect of it, right?
Right.
What it is to be a toxic woman, especially motherhood. They could have do all of that. Like, look, yeah, you have several children in this incredibly violent, situation. It's all of that, and they probably could have leaned into that, but you see, I'm not sure what story they could have tell. To be honest, I don't know, but what they decided to tell is just the Tony Montana thing, and I was like, all right, well, they should have probably just go and do that instead. Then I'm not sure. Again, this is post hoc stuff, in terms of the approach, but they probably should have done that. I'm not sure, because like what we got was just, to me, just really standard stuff, and I was just underwhelmed with it. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's about it. Rate it.
so right. So overall for me though, I felt like this show was just leaning a little too much into, it's a woman dealing drugs in the early 80s.
Right.
That's a sell. That's a sell. That's a sell. That's a sell. But
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of films set around that period, that late 70s into 80s era. When coke was blowing up and crack was about to come in, right? So you've seen this stuff before. You mentioned Snowfall and Breaking Bad, stuff like that. Yes, which brought unique perspectives on that, right? But I felt with this one, it could have given us more than, hey, it's a woman doing this, right? It was going for it at times though, and they just sort of like left it after a while. But I felt they could have done a lot more with that, right? So instead, what we get here is just, standard gangster fare. That's the best way I could sum it up,
Thank
right?
you.
But it's good gangster fare, right? But I've seen this stuff before,
It's
right?
fine.
It's fine, right? But they really could have
But
gone.
the,
They
the,
really
the
could have gone
execution,
more.
the
Done more
execution
with
not
it,
so
though,
great. Yeah, the execution not so great for me to say, way boy. Because you could have something that could be standard, but you executed so well, like a really good edited sequence or anything like that. But you didn't get any of that. And I was like, you'd have a couple of moments like, all right, that kind of cool, I suppose. But like again, it's only because it pushed my buttons there now. So that's about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, rating wise, what would you give it?
Yeah, rating. Yeah, I want to say a 7, but it's closer to a 6. It's 6, but a mid 6. Like I really really wish this was they did more with it. And again, if she'd at least put on some makeup and make herself look kind of grimy and truly older and
Well, you mean more makeup, right?
Right.
'Cause,
But you know what I mean. Now, you
Yeah,
up
yeah.
yourself, right? I wish she tried to ugly up herself, but that's about it. It didn't. I really, really wish this was just not so bland and standard. It really felt like standard bug stuff. Like that. That was my main problem with it. So that's about it. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Well, yeah, probably in the 6 range kind of thing. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, for me, I'll give this a strong 3 out of 5. It's alright for what it is.
Yeah.
I binged it. It was about I don't know, like 6 hours or less.
Right,
I
it's
didn't
short,
come
yeah.
out of it like, yeah, it was a waste of time, right? I learned about the name, the person behind the name, right? So I guess I could understand now why them Buffalo Boys decide to choose that as the title of their record label, right? I can understand that, right? And as Benny saying in this new album, Griselda Train ain't stopping, so good, right? But yeah, I really think that he put out that record just as a, oh, by the way, yeah, Griselda on Netflix, right? So it's like that, right? Not like I was asking for a song of theirs to show up, although that would have been dope.
No,
You know what
I
I
didn't
mean?
expect that. Yeah.
But yeah, you could see why she is influential in that way, and you could understand her place as far as I guess Latin crime lords go, right? But yeah, I felt they could have dug a little bit deeper into that story, dude, and just really pulled some more dirt and grime out of it, man. What we got out of it was just standard stuff. Even the way how it
Standard
plays out
stuff,
is just kind of basic,
Yep.
gangster shit, right? The rise and fall, right? Again, literally drugs is introduced into the scene. The character uses drugs, and you just see how that plays out, right? But for me, it was fun, right? Yeah, seeing Sofia at least do a drama. Like, I haven't seen her do any dramatic roles, to be honest, right? So I felt like
Me
she
neither, yeah.
really rose to the occasion. She really committed. She really put effort into it. She was menacing when she was ready. She was burdened when she was ready. You really saw that. But yeah, looking back at it, I understand. If she had just added this a little bit more layers to her face, and same with the show, yeah, we could have really seen the ugliness to and the grime, not just of her as a character, but of this world itself and how she fits in it too. 'Cause I know that's what the show is going for. It's just this is just a terrible world, and you want to be a part of it regardless of what your gender is, right? I know that's what it was reaching for with it, but it just kind of came down to, yeah, gang shit. That's it.
This is something. This is something that if this is something that if it was in the mid 2000s on HBO, it'd probably be bigger, but not now. Again, the problem is that it come out. It's one of those things that's so standard that come out too late. In my humble opinion, and it could be a movie. Like this could get cut down.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Well,
I find it cover
I think so, yeah.
quite a lot of ground though with this season. Yeah, with this show,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's fine for what it is, though. If you're a fan of crime films, yeah, watch it. If you haven't seen shows like Scarface, I guess you'll probably think it's like the dopest shit ever. But Scarface exists, and that's the best way I could tell it. Like Scarface is there, guys, and when you see that and then you watch this, you'll be like, yeah, Griselda kind of borrow a lot from Scarface. Like look at that, right? So it's like that. Yeah.